So I was going to look at these results and say it would appear on the face of it that you can pass the increased costs through to the consumer, though. Is that fair to say?
Well, to some degree, what we try and do, to be honest, we try and avoid having to pass costs on to our customers, given that our retail businesses pride themselves in being everyday low price retailers that have unquestionably the lowest prices in the market. So we always start with saying, are there ways in which we can leverage our scale, our processes to drive greater productivity and efficiency? And I think we've made some great inroads through those areas. And then, look, we have been able to pass some prices on, some costs through in prices. But if you look at our margins, we've held our margins fairly constant. So the earnings growth that we've delivered has been delivered by keeping prices low for customers and growing the size of our business and the profit we generate rather than our margins.
OK, so this week the intergenerational report came out, which looks 40 years into the future for Australia, with a population then of some 40 million people. You're a business, you look long-term as well, but do you look that far ahead into the future to see the nature of Australia's economy and its community at that time?
Well, yeah, the intergenerational report's really interesting. We don't necessarily plan for 40 years out, given there's so much uncertainty in the future, but we certainly think about the decade ahead. And I think there's a lot of areas where the way that the Wesfarmers conglomerate is set up, we're certainly set up well to face into the issues and to take advantage of the opportunities presented in that intergenerational report. For example, the growing demand for healthcare. Well, we now have a new healthcare division that's all about providing more affordable and accessible healthcare. The challenges and opportunities around the decarbonisation of the economy. We're really leading the way in our businesses around decarbonisation and investing our capital in new growth opportunities through lithium hydroxide and so forth. So these are just some of the examples, Ross, where I think we're very well set up as a portfolio to play an important role in Australia's future.
So you will produce the first spodumene from your lithium hydroxide plant this year coming. Just explain the technicalities of doing that, because that is an example of genuinely adding value to the raw materials coming out of the ground to be able to get a higher premium price. But is there technical difficulties in actually setting that up in Australia?
Well, you're right. It's the developments within our lithium business are great examples of value-added processing beyond simply mining. The concentration of spodumene requires the concentrator process and different processes to develop that spodumene, and we're on track to selling that next calendar year. And then we're going to be going a step further through the investment in a lithium hydroxide refinery in Kwinana in Western Australia that will take the processing to another level of more highly value-added lithium hydroxide. We have natural advantages in terms of the quality of our ore, and obviously the Kwinana location within WA has a lot of chemical manufacturing capabilities. We do have to battle the challenges around some of the lengthy approval processes and some of the skill shortages, but pleasingly we have a very receptive and proactive WA government that is really leaning in to support us in terms of bringing these value-added projects to life.
So as we look forward, and even you go to the intergenerational report that talks about the energy transition, this is going to be at the forefront of being able to store electricity into the future, which is the reason why government, state and federal have really got to understand the value of not just sending this ore overseas as it has in the past, and maybe trying to hang back a little bit of it even for us here in Australia.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think also recognising that the energy transition that we're all working through, this is not just going to be a simple linear transition. Technologies are evolving rapidly. We need to adopt a portfolio of approaches to try and reduce emissions. We need to recognise that fuels such as gas remain incredibly important transition fuels that will actually help us on the decarbonisation path. But we need to respect that in the short term. And who knows, there may well be other technologies in the future. But we are big believers in the power of lithium and the electric batteries that we're seeing within transportation. So we think there will be very strong demand for lithium hydroxide going forward.
So we went from Bunnings and Officeworks to, electrified vehicles, and that is the scope or the portfolio approach of Wesfarmers. Always great to chat to you, Rob Scott. Many thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Ross.